Two more questions before we get into our Q&A. This next one has to do with finances. I know a lot of people are worried about the cost of education, how to finance education. If you could just give me, if you can give me the exact number, that's great, of what a year of education costs at your school. And then also, scholarships. Do you offer scholarships? How much of that cost can you cover with scholarships? What's your advice in that regard? Let's start with Chapman.
Okay, this is always my favorite question because all the parents' faces are just horrified. So we're obviously a private school. So our tuition right now with room and board is about $54,000 a year. But then the next number that I always like to give, at least for Chapman, is our average financial aid package is about $30,000 a year. So we are very generous as much as we can be with scholarships and rewarding students for the hard work they've done in high school. So we have merit scholarships that we award students based on their SAT and GPA from high school. And those are in amounts of up to $25,000 a year. So it's $25,000, $20,000, and $15,000 are the three ranges. And those we award to students just strictly based on their academics and their success and given on merit. So those are kind of our first things that we do and I can speak to having gotten one of them, are very helpful in kind of helping with the tuition costs. We do have talent scholarships as well. So we do award four-year scholarships to students that apply in our talent programs, all film areas included in that. And then obviously financial aid and the FAFSA and everything plays into that as well. So as much as expensive we are, we really do work to help assist the families and kind of finding ways to make it work. And I think the other issue that comes in is going to a film is not an inexpensive major or hobby or whatever. It's definitely expensive as well. And so also we're always finding ways to help, help fund student films, fund the projects they're doing abroad. So once they're there, they're not having to have a lot of additional expenses either. I won't lie and say, and especially there's students that have grandiose plans that do spend a lot of money, but it's more by choice where we really try to help provide that kind of financial assistance also. So yeah, those are kind of the main things for us.
Well, at Long Beach, it's $3,000 a semester. I think room and board you could add 10 to that, $10,000 a year. I think, $13,000 to $15,000 a year if you want to live on campus, but a lot of our students live off campus. There's a lot of state programs in terms of Cal grants, Pell grants, and federal programs based on financial need. And then within our own department, we have quite a few scholarships to help our students, especially with the cost of film production. We have Hollywood Foreign Press Association awards, which tend to be $3,000 to $5,000 for each student making a film. A number of other donors. We even have some screenwriting fellowships, things like that.
You've asked for the exact cost.
If you have it, give it to us, yes.
Okay, for UCLA, I just looked at our fees. It's $14,809.19. So don't forget the 19 cents. That's for the academic year. That's for California residents if we have any international students in the room. For a non-resident, it's approximately $37,000 a year. For room and board at UCLA, it's about $14,000 a year. Most of our students do want to live in the residence halls. As you know, the food is very good. But I would encourage all applicants, U.S. citizens and permanent residents, to do the FAFSA, do the financial aid application. Most of our scholarships at UCLA and in the School of Theater, Film, and Television are need-based and merit-based, but the way we can see if you have the need is if you do the financial aid application. So please do the FAFSA by the March 2nd deadline. We have scholarships as little as $100 to as much as $10,000. And typically, the students, they will typically fund their own film if they don't receive one of our scholarships, and the films are approximately $4,000. But we do provide equipment to the students for their films.
The annual tuition for CalArts this year is $38,438. We do have scholarship available, and over 80% of our students have scholarship, and this is free money. It's gift aid. It's not money that you have to pay back. And that ranges from a couple $1,000s to about half tuition. A combination of need and merit is how that's determined. So a student would still have to figure out at least half tuition through federal student loans, private loans, family contribution, and outside scholarships. So there's many different sources that a student can use to put together the financial aid puzzle. What I recommend to students is look for outside scholarships so that you can make CalArts or whatever school you end up going to more affordable. Outside scholarships are really great. You just have to be very proactive in finding them. They can be kind of hidden. As a student, I was looking at scholarships for Asian American students interested in film. A friend of mine from undergrad had a disease, Crohn's disease, and actually found a scholarship for students with Crohn's disease interested in med school, which is crazy. So use scholarship search engines. We have one on the CalArts financial aid website. Use Google, apply. It's only going to help you make whatever school you end up going to happen.
We're about $60,000 a year. That's for tuition, room and board, and lab and fees. That also includes costs of all your equipment, your film. Basically, you don't need to spend anything to shoot films in our school. We are a SAG school, which means we work with the Screen Actors Guild, so you do have to feed them, which means you go to Costco and get a deli tray or something. But you don't need to spend any money to make films at our school, so that's included in your tuition. I always tell students when they're looking at tuition costs of any school to find out what additional costs are involved. I've heard a lot of students are quite surprised when they get to some other schools and figure out that, oh, I need another $5,000 here, another $10,000 there, so forth. With that said, we do have students who spend a lot more because they want to do these big, gigantic films with a lot of visual effects, and they have to go out and hire professionals to work fire for them, for example. In terms of scholarships and financial aid, USC gives out $235 million in financial aid, which is more than any other university in the States. That is based on what we call EFC, Expected Family Contribution. The calculators for that are now probably on every college website that's at the table, the government. If you're not familiar with that, just type in EFC on Google and you'll get a calculator. You put in your family assets and income, and it will tell you what the government expects you to pay towards tuition. That number is used to base what most schools will give you in terms of grants, scholarships, or loans. Anything on top of the EFC is going to be your responsibility. So $60,000 sounds like a lot, but once you do your EFC, you're going to see that that number is going to drop down. It is still expensive. The school itself gives out $1 million in aid to students. Most of that is merit. We give out, I think like 10% of our freshmen get academic scholarships. Those are full ride for 4 years, half ride for 4 years, a quarter ride for 4 years. And those are, again, academic, and they're given out by the university. Freshmen, there are not a lot of scholarships for incoming freshmen. Most of the scholarships that we have, you have to apply for once you're a student because it requires some work sample that you've done in the program. So starting your sophomore year, you're open up to that $1 million. The first year, you're pretty much on your own. But like everyone has said, look for scholarships, and I tell students this, and they don't do it because it's too much work. And that's a poor excuse. So mom and dad, sites like collegeboard.org has a great list of scholarships that will get you thinking about other places. If you're in Rotary, if you're in the Lions, if you're a Mason, if you have Crohn's disease, look for those things. Even if they're $500, students say, oh, it's only $500, it's not worth the effort. Well, if you get 10 of those, that's $5,000. So it all adds up. It's expensive to go anywhere. I think Cal State's got a great price.
Yeah.
What I would recommend, and this isn't your question, but I think we would all agree, look at every school really hard. And we're up here representing our own school, but we don't get paid by the student. what I think most of us are interested in is making sure that you find the right school and that you're happy. The last thing any of us want is for you to get there your freshman year, and after your freshman year, feel like you made the biggest regret. And that often happens when you don't check out the other schools. You're also going to feel much better paying that tuition if you're sure it's the place for you. So it's great for us to come and talk to you, but until you get on that campus, you're really not going to know if it's the right school. Talk to faculty. Don't just go to the tours that we give, and we all do them. Ask to talk to faculty, ask to talk to fellow students that are already there. Look up on Facebook, find students who are in the school. Hey, how's the school? Do you like it? Do a little research so that you know what you're spending is worthwhile. Parents, you can certainly reach out to other parents as well. We have a parents program. I'll be glad to put you in touch with other parents, and you can talk to them about the value and how they finance their education. I've tried over the last 4 years to really bring our parents and students together, and we do try to help each other out. And I see a lot of parents. We have a Facebook page for parents, which I think is kind of cute, and they do talk a lot to each other about navigating finances. So it's out there. If we can help you in that process, any of us, I'm sure, will help you. It's tough, and we acknowledge that. It's a lot more than when I was an undergrad. So.